Hi! Welcome to my reflections video, where we're going to look at some of my projects today. So I hope you're excited and get ready, buckle in. When working with a lot of things, you need plans. For example, I have a time when I need a plan. It was while I was playing D&D with some friends. We had needed to gather a crystal in order to power a flying ship. And so you see, the crystal was in a mine, and no one was allowed into the mine due to unknown reasons that we didn't know at the time at first. So, we had to sit down and plan, how do we break into a mine surrounded by a bunch of guards? I don't even remember the number. So, here's what we eventually went with. We went with the method of our druid distracting them by turning into something. Then we break down the door with a caravan, and the druid would fly in and follow because that's easy now. So, that actually worked, and we got down to where we needed to. So, then, one person was like, we got what we needed. Before we left, we decided to take a rest. And one person was like, oh, I wonder what I can do here. And they unleashed a horde of monsters. Undead, to be specific. It was not part of the plan at all. But we made a new one and worked with it to escape. And luckily, none of our characters died. So this is really important, actually, because plans are vital to a lot of things like big projects and things like just work in general, which are far more important than D&D is, of course, obviously. So, for example, another thing is, like in a project, particularly in the Skin Color project, which I did with my partner Bells, she was amazing. She has a cool website too. You should go check it out. And we had communicated really well, and we had grown in the ability to plan and understanding after that through this specific project. In this project, we needed a lot of communication. I and my partner definitely communicated. We had done a lot of it to plan and brainstorm, which we wrote down actually on a piece of paper, which we made our script paper, which is shown here, and there will be a bit written in Word in case you can't read it. I don't have the best handwriting. But this planning was vital and helpful, which can be seen by some things that we wrote down for science and such, which was recorded and actually made it into the final. It was about how we had to explain genetics and natural selection. You see, we wanted to explain that, and we needed to explain that. But the problem is that we also needed to explain a pedigree and a Punnett square, which you can watch the video to understand what those are. But essentially, we decided that through the visual, we'll show how the pedigree and Punnett square worked, because that's what it really was, a visual type key. And so we did that, and it makes a lot of sense. And we were able to do this because we planned on the paper. We had to do it at a specific time, otherwise it wouldn't make sense because we would be talking about something during something else.
We also had to plan out what we would work on each day. I no longer have the week planner, sadly, due to inconveniences. But I can tell you the general idea of what we planned, or so. For the first week or so, we were mostly doing the writing part of the script and the researching. And the researching and writing at the time was history, because we had not learned enough in science to fully write anything there. So, I was researching Cherokee and things like their culture, their clothing, and religion, dances, games. So everything sort of about them that I could use to think about why it would have conflicted with the American culture during the time of the westward expansion. So each week I would have to write out what I would do every day for me and Bells. And Bells was sadly absent for the first 2 weeks or so. So what I decided to do so we could both have equal work, is I would send the script to her, and then she would proofread it and check it, and then eventually she would also voice over it at home when necessary. I'm not the best writer, And I was really glad to have her critique because I tend to ramble on the little things that are important instead of getting right to the point of the main idea. It helped especially when we started recording because we were nearing the end of the project. So we had to set specific days for audio recording and specific days for the recording of the drawings. So without it, we definitely would have gotten off task and not realized, hey, our due date's coming soon, we need to finish quickly.
Of course, it wasn't as much planning for the audio as it was for the drawing, but it still took a lot of tries. On Bella's phone, there's the audio stuff, and there's tons and tons of bloopers for it and retakes. Why? Well, because there were lots of times where she spoke too fast, like I am right now, misspoke, or had trouble speaking because, you need water while you do this. Or you just can't hear her because her voice is very quiet and neat. So, and then there were a lot of times where it was just really hard. And this shows how much time we took on the audio because we had to plan for some of the paragraphs because they were just so very, very long that we couldn't make it through without breaking it up. So, without planning for one, it would probably sound like a bunch of random noises, undecipherable, which is unacceptable. We need our voice clear, and that's what was said to make sense. Here is a clip of a history paragraph that we messed up, and this section of the paragraph will be on screen too, to make sure that you understand what she's saying.
This was not good at all for any native. The Cherokee especially had their own struggles, but they were also tried to really sit out for what they did. They became one of the first civilized tribes, where they were almost like the white culture. They had guns, horses, built their places like Americans, and made governments model after the American government. Needless to say, Georgia didn't care. So the Cherokee sued Georgia for what they were doing, saying that they were an independent nation.
Can you hear where she messed up? There were a lot of things that were weird to say in that, which isn't her fault, but it made it hard. Here, let's compare it to the one we used in the final.
This was not good at all for any native. The Cherokee especially had their own struggles, but they were also a tribe that really stood out for what they did. They became one of the first civilized tribes, where they were almost like the white culture. They had guns, horses, built their places like Americans, and made governments model after the American government. Needless to say, Georgia didn't care. So, the Cherokee sued Georgia for what they were doing, saying that they were an independent nation and that Georgia is not in charge of them. The judge of the case had said the Indian nations had always been considered as distinct, independent political communities, retaining their original natural rights as the undisputed possessors of the soil. This was known as the Worcester versus Georgia case. Sadly, Georgia ignored these words and continued to push the Cherokee out. In response, Andrew Jackson didn't do anything to stop or reinforce the judge's ruling.
The difference in here is clear and important. As you can clearly see, planning is very important, and without it, a lot of students' grades would be dropping. Thanks to the success of communication and planning, I can use it on future projects and plan better, to make projects better. And if I use this in future projects, I can do so much better and get so much better grades. Hope you enjoyed listening to this video and watching my reflection. Have a good day.